the most committing suicide? Or what is the survival value of suicide behavior? But the question, what is the survival value of any X behavior? Which is X is a rewriting of suicide behavior into something that makes sense, like light compass behavior. We cannot give a sensible interpretation of human behavior unless we rewrite our questions in moth-like ways. We can further say that the forest of candles in which we live in a particular complicated one, because cultural evolution, a quasi-Darwinian process perhaps, has led to the especially rapid change of the environment. We are totally surrounded by artifacts of our own civilization. The environment in which now we live has especially little to do with that in which we were naturally selected. We can still make a simply Darwin interpretation of things like hunger and the sexual drive, but the most of our question we have to employ rewriting rules. The question, on the other hand, your work has also been adopted by those who see evolution and natural selection as an excuse for certain sort of human behavior. I'm thinking of racism and xenophobia and even sexual doubt standards. Again, question, what do you see as a real relevance of studies of animals to human behavior? The answer, it unfortunately still needs to be said that just because something is natural, it does not follow that we should do it. If it did, we ought not to wear clothes. Suppose I were to provide Darwin explanation of racism and say that it is a hangover from a time when we needed to be reproductively isolated from Neanderthals. The fallacy of it is to say, oh well, if it is Darwin, then it was that. It is inevitably so, we cannot help it. Or we should say, it is natural and therefore good. On the contrary, it is very easy to undo by learning the impulses of our genetic programming. We need to understand the evolutionary basis of our unpleasant impulses in order to fight against them. The question, your book, The Blind Watchmaker, is a direct challenge to William Paley's argument from the design of his natural theology. The question, aren't you in danger of replacing Paley deity with your own version, natural selection? The answer, the problem with this is the implication that there are both equally good. We want to know that what is true. Paley thought he knew he was wrong. All the evidence suggests that Darwinism is true. It remains open that someone could come along and show us that it is not. I don't think anyone will, simply because I believe in Darwinism, and Paley behaved in God doesn't put the two beliefs in the both footing. Some beliefs are supported by evidence and some are not. The question: humans as a species seems to have an innate capacity for languages. Not English, not Chinese, but language. Do you think that could be a similar innate capacity for the religion? Not Christianity or Sufism, but some sort of satisfying belief system. The answer: I think they could, but it would be a lot of less interesting than the innate capacity for languages that scientist Chomsky claims. Language is such a complicated and detailed faculty, and if he is right, it is unique to our species. It really seems to need a special kind of explanation. Whereas it is very easy to think why one might have the innate capacity to find religion satisfying. You only have to have a very understandable fear of death to be drawn towards any doctrine that tells you in an unauthoritative way, when you are an impressionable child, perhaps, that you wouldn't have to die. You could call that innate faculty for religion, but it is about an interesting as an innate capacity to enjoy being warm or comfortable. The question: natural selection, notwithstanding its scientific truth, is those who accept it a very satisfying answer to the question, why are we here? The question, are the critics correct when then they say that evolutionary biologists like treat Darwinism as a religion? The answer: I would prefer not to put it in that way. It is true that anybody who possesses anything academic or intellectual will be satisfied by good reasoning. If she finds an argument which helps everything fall into the place, that will be a deeply satisfying experience. But I find it unilluminating to speak is that as a religion, merely because religion also may be satisfying. Many things are satisfying. Strawberries and cream, for example, without being a religion. Religion has other defining properties, which neither science nor strawberries have. For example, it is justified not by evidence, but by faith. The question: you said in the introduction of the book, The Blind Watchmaker, like that, the reasons that are not entirely clear to me, Darwinism seems more in need of advocacy than similarly established truth in other branches of science. Are the reasons really not entirely clear to you? The answer: I went to the offer one or two. There is the fact that in order to understand it, need to step yourself in the vastness of geological time, which our brains find very difficult. There is the fact that it is unpalatable to people who cannot tell the difference between what is and what they would like where to be. Such person as Bernard Shaw said that you contemplate Darwinism, your heart sinks into the heap of the sand within you. It is a deeply disturbing idea. If you want the universe to have purpose, beauty, elegance, and so on. But the course of things can be both disturbing and true. What I had in mind in the passage that you quote is that it is not clearly why Darwinism, as opposed, say, to physics, has to put up with such charges. You don't find television evangelists denouncing Newton and Einstein. The question: is it possible to reconcile evolution, in which change is essentially the outcome of random processes given direction by selection, and free will? The answer: I find it is difficult to contribute in this ancient philosophical discussion. There is, I think, nothing that is added to be debated specifically by evolution. I think Darwinism does add something in that if you are having a debate without Darwinism, you can say that something is guiding everything, and therefore what you consider your free will is merely being guided. If you are having a debate with Darwinism, the Darwinist would say that there is no guidance, no selection. Wherefore, if there is no guidance, your actions are free. I think that if Darwinists have to attitude to free will, it is probably that the matter of one for physics, the physics of a neural system. If you really want to know my attitude to this determinism, I take refuge in complexity. In view of the huge complexity of events of a neural system, it probably doesn't matter whether there is a free will or not. The last question is: there is a great deal of concern today about the destruction of the environment, How far does this concern you as a Darwinist? Do you think that the kind of biology you can help us to deal with these acute problems of the environment? The last answer: I am deeply concerned as a citizen. As an evolutionary biologist, I don't think I have very much to say. Great catastrophes in the conditions of life have happened before. The origin of oxygen in the atmosphere, vital to us now, was originally a monstrous piece of pollution. Natural selection favored those organisms that could survive in spite of it. There have been other major catastrophes in which most of life has been wiped out. Evolution happens in the intervals between these catastrophes, but catastrophes having place in the history of evolution. But I now speak just as a citizen and want us to do everything we can to avert the catastrophe. When I think about the loss of whales and the loss of rainforest, I am apt to become angry beyond these sort of reasons that is suitable to this magazine's So I think I had better shut up about it. That's a final phrase of this interview in the journal Science on Public Affairs, which was published in the United Kingdom. The interview with evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins. And I'm Victor Fursov, research zoologist of Natural Academy of Sciences, and I'm working in Institute of Zoology in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Was very pleased to read you this interview with Professor Richard Dawkins, evolutionary biologist. And if you would like to know more about his books, let's go to the libraries, take his books and read it yourself. But I was very pleased to read this interview aloud just for your education, because education, this is really great. And I hope so it can be interesting and inspiring for some young students, young biologists, who will do themselves in their career as naturalist, as evolutionary biologist, as a zoologist, entomologist. So let's go forward and make it your progress, your discoveries in biology. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Furso, and this is my channel. Don't forget about subscribe to my channel, press likes, write your comments down there, and put your comments under this video. And welcome to the next video stream on my channel, and I will supply it in some sort of another videos which I recorded on my camera, not only on this stream. So you may have several parts of this reading of interview on my channel. And don't forget, visit another videos on my channel and subscribe. Or press on the bell. That's very good idea for development of education all around the world. Thank you for watching. I hope it was useful and beneficial for some people in a Russian-speaking society, just to inspire them to know more in English, to learn English, and I hope so for English-speaking audience in the other part of the globe as well. Thank you for coming to my channel. Press likes, write your comments, and ask your questions. Bye bye. See you soon on my channel.